The Bermuda Triangle. Over 1 million square miles of the most mysterious, the most feared, and arguably the most dangerous stretch of ocean on the planet.
The breath left my lungs, and the thought in my mind was, how can I live without my brother?
Some have lived to tell the tale, but many more have never returned.
When I heard he wasn't on board after they had found the boat, I couldn't believe it.
Stories that defy explanation.
I wasn't sure if I was right side up or upside down. I felt like I just totally lost control of the airplane.
The thought had occurred to me this could be something other than man-made.
As they're coming over, we see that there are actually 2 light-colored, almost white-colored cylinders.
Really?
Rockets, essentially,
yeah,
flying side by side.
And a dive to the ocean floor to solve the greatest Bermuda Triangle mystery of all time, the disappearance of Flight 19.
Holy sh**! I'm in trouble! Mayday, mayday, mayday!
The Bermuda Triangle is said to stretch from Miami across to Bermuda and down to Puerto Rico. But exactly why hundreds of people have vanished out there is still a mystery.
Look, I'll give you mechanical failure. I'll give you strange, anomalous weather. I'll give you human error, okay? 99% of that, I'll give you that. Science, okay? But give me that 1%. And then tell me what that 1% is. And if you can't, then it's a mystery, and I want to find out what it is.
Through my experience over the years, there's rational physical explanations for almost everything that's been occurring. There's nothing supernatural going on here.
The Bermuda Triangle is a very large area. There's a lot of ship and air traffic that goes through there, and it's also an area that's very prone to hurricanes. As far as the things that occur in this area, I think most of it, or probably all of it, can be explained by weather phenomena.
Well, the weather can change in a matter of 30 minutes. You could be out there, and if you're off the coast and you needed to come to shelter, 30 minutes is a long time.
This is Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis.
Tonight we talk about the Bermuda Triangle. You may have heard of it as the Devil's Triangle or Satan's Triangle. It's a very, very
late-night radio host Clyde Lewis has spent years reporting on the bizarre disappearances and events in the Bermuda Triangle.
You know, when I was a kid,
he's convinced that there's a huge supernatural force at work out there.
We know that phosphorescent gases come up out of the ocean. We know that all these things happen, but what we don't take into account is that the planet is electromagnetically driven. There are places where you can actually feel the power in them. Areas of this planet where if magnetics come together at just the right frequency and at just the right space and time, something opens up, and if you just happen to be there, you can go through, and maybe you won't be able to come back out.
Isn't this great? No, if anything's going to happen. Oh, it's going to happen out here. That's right.
One of the most mysterious events happened to Paul Vance when he set off from Palm Beach to the Bahamas.
When we got about 12 miles offshore, this was about 9:30 at night, I had been watching the airplanes going into Miami. And I was watching this one particular light, and it came over and then it just stopped. And I thought, now this cannot be an airplane, and just stopped in midair. And after it stopped, this swirling mist started spinning underneath it. It was kind of like in a cocoon shape.
Oh my God, that's not a... It's not a helicopter. It's not a helicopter, man. Hey, I'm looking right now. Oh my God.
And then the swirling mist formed very slowly underneath it. And then the light just descended down into the mist, and it glowed a very odd orange color.
What the?
I was actually wondering, am I going to make it home from this? Because it was very strange. I said a couple prayers, and but after 2 or 3 minutes, the mist just disappeared, and you could see the stars behind it. It was like it had never been there. Until you've been out there and seen what I've seen, you cannot say that it isn't real, because there's something to the Bermuda Triangle.
the mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle, the disappearance of Flight 19 is the most infamous. On December 5th, 1945, 5 TBM torpedo bombers set off from Fort Lauderdale in Florida. They were never seen again. Then a rescue aircraft, a PBM Mariner seaplane, was sent up to look for them, and within minutes of taking off, it too disappeared. Over 20 aircrew vanished into thin air that day. It's one of the greatest mysteries of modern time.
Ready, Jeff? See you on the bottom.
Now, Mike Barnett and the Association of Underwater Explorers think that they might have found wreckage of this PBM Mariner. Based on the flight records from the time, he believes that the aircraft exploded in midair about 40 miles off the coast of Florida. People have been searching for the wreckage for 50 years. If they have found part of Flight 19, it would be huge news.
I think we have a pretty good shot at trying to narrow down where this aircraft went down. Our playing field is probably about a 7 square mile area, that box or circle we're going to be looking in.
Jeff, are you seeing anything?
We just ran over something over here, and there's a little pop-up, so we're going to run across it a couple times and see what it shows.
See how it's kind of coming up, and see there's fish over top? Yep, there's wreckage there.
Yeah, that's a good signal right there. That's the best one we've had.
Something's definitely there. I don't know what it is yet. We definitely have a wreck down there, but it's a very small target, which can either be partially buried aircraft, a section of an aircraft, or some other piece of debris. Coming on scene, about 5 seconds.
You see the bump on the bottom machine, and you're like, okay, there's something there. Then you roll off the boat, whoosh, dead silence. Everything goes completely quiet. You turn and face the anchor line, grab a hold of it, and you watch that wreck come out of the blue. And on day one, I'm kind of a naysayer, I guess. I assumed it was going to be a container or a washing machine or, you know, something like that. Man, when I saw that it was an aircraft, I was like, oh, come on, are you kidding me?
We're all rolling into the water wondering, is this it? I mean, this could be the plane that we're looking for.
You know, it's just sitting there like it had just landed there. There's no wings visible or anything like that, but, you know, seeing a big radial engine and a defined cockpit.
It's almost a picture-perfect airplane sitting on the bottom. It was apparent pretty much immediately from the first time you laid eyes on it that this is definitely an aircraft.
I think anybody at that moment has to wonder what happened to the pilot. You know, did he go down with the plane? Did he make it out safely? Was he recovered? It's always interesting to answer those questions in some way.
It's very much like a cold case investigation, because this aircraft has been on the bottom for potentially 50, 60 years, and now we've reopened it, trying to look for any kind of evidence on the site that might yield some kind of information.
Now I'm thinking, all these feelings were right. Today is the day for sure. This is the PBM. I know it. We got it nailed.
Coming up, has the crew really solved one of the greatest mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle? Is this the wreck of the PBM Mariner from Flight 19?
Definitely military, definitely World War II era, big radial motor, really exciting stuff. Very cool.
And tragedy at sea as an experienced sailor vanishes into thin air in the middle of the ocean.
The breath left my lungs, and the thought in my mind was, how can I live without my brother?
Mike Barnett and his team from the Association of Underwater Explorers have discovered what they think could be the wreck of the PBM Mariner seaplane from Flight 19 that disappeared off the coast of Florida in 1945. If it is, then it would be one of the great discoveries of all time.
Immediately upon seeing that this was an aircraft, you get the little, oh, hey, we got an aircraft, this is good. But then you have to step back a little bit and go, well, it's a really small site, it's significantly smaller than what we're looking for, so maybe, maybe not.
Despite their initial enthusiasm, the more the team examined this site, the more they realized that this wreck was simply too small to be the PBM Mariner.
It was apparent pretty much immediately from the first time you laid eyes on it that this is definitely an aircraft. As we got to looking at it more, it became obvious pretty quickly that it was not the Mariner just because of its small size. But it was still very interesting because it was from the right era. It was a World War II era aircraft that we were not necessarily expecting to find there. So it's almost like uncovering a second mystery while you're trying to solve the first.
You know, it's just sitting there like it had just landed there. There's no wings visible or anything like that, but you know, seeing a big radial engine and a defined cockpit, and it had a distinct rake to it that immediately, you know, we all thought Corsair. Underwater, we can kind of talk into our rebreather, and it's like Corsair, Corsair. So it was pretty cool. We're like, all right, we got a Corsair.
Many Corsair fighters were launched off the coast of Florida in World War II, and dozens were known to have crashed out at sea.
We found the site, the wreck site. We confirmed it was an aircraft. Unfortunately, it wasn't the aircraft we're looking for. It was, unlike the twin-engine Mariner search aircraft we're looking for, this was a single-engine, single-seat fighter aircraft, World War II vintage. It had a very similar, has the same power plant for the aircraft we're looking for, but unfortunately, it's just not the right aircraft. So we'll have to keep looking.
It might not be the wreckage of the PBM Mariner that they're looking for, but it is another tantalizing piece of the puzzle. The remains of a World War II Corsair fighter lying on the ocean bed in the same area that Flight 19 disappeared.
At the end of the first day, I was still feeling optimistic. I've worked several aircraft projects in the past, and I know that a lot of times you have to hit multiple targets before you find what you're looking for. So the fact that we didn't find the Mariner on the very first dive of the project was not a negative indication to me at all. And so I ended the day feeling optimistic and looking forward to day 2.
Hundreds of people have simply vanished into the Bermuda Triangle over the years. One of the most bizarre stories is the disappearance of Jimmy Trindade.
Tonight, a mystery on the high seas. 54-year-old Jim Trindade disappeared on January 12th during a trip from the Bahamas to Florida. No blood was found on his boat, but there are several strange clues left behind. Join us live from Palm Beach.
On January 12, 2006, Jimmy Trindade and 2 friends set off from Spanish Key in the Bahamas, en route back to Palm Beach in Florida. What happened next is one of the most extraordinary events in the history of the Bermuda Triangle.
Jim had made this trip hundreds of times. I mean, to navigate them, he could literally do it by the sun and the clouds. I mean, it was just a very simple, easy trip. On this particular day, though, we got a call right about dusk saying that something had happened out on the ocean and Jim was missing. So what do you mean something happened? Well, somehow Jim got separated from the 2 boys. Something happened. They don't know. He disappeared.
According to his friends, Jimmy's more powerful speedboat pulled away from them and they lost sight of him. And then, an hour or so later, they heard what they thought was Jimmy's voice sending out a mayday call on the radio.
This is the United States Coast Guard. Requesting no persons on board, over.
I mean, Jim, he was a boat captain. He was a man's man. Here was a guy who could navigate the waters. Sure, he would know every reef and shoal and buoy. People would look for him to advice on how to navigate through those waters. How could he be missing?
Then, early the next morning, dramatic news comes through.
The phone call came at 12:30 at night. It was the Coast Guard, and they had found the boat via satellite image. And then they had sent a Falcon jet, and the Falcon jet took infrared pictures. At that particular point, we had hope. Okay, they found the boat, and now they just need to save them.